All right. So, Dr. Community and this cute little ladybug here want to talk to us about obesity. All right. Is this ladybug obese? I don't know. It all depends. Black people do not like the word obese, particularly Black women. They don't like the term. They don't identify with the term. Some see it as a derogatory term. And again, if you want to know if you are in the category of obese, because again, we're talking about a scale called the Body Mass Index scale. All right. So with that scale, we determine who falls in what categories, whether you are considered of normal weight. We don't like that word either, normal, do we? But and not everybody falls into that category. There are a lot of people who are not considered normal. But then you have overweight, and then you have obese, and then you have extremely obese. All right. So when we talk about obese, here's a surprising fact: 80% of Black women are considered overweight. Okay. So they fall into the overweight category. And 2/3 of Black women are considered obese. 2/3. Okay. That's about 67%. That is a lot. That is a lot. So, is it something up with the scale? A scale that would put 80% of the people who exist in one racial gender category in that category is in a bad part of that category or in the obese section. That's a lot, and a lot of people have a lot of opinions about whether or not that scale is appropriate for Black women. And part of my research that I'm doing with the women in this study is to help me get closer to figuring out how obesity plays in. Because we also know that Black women can tolerate larger waistlines before they actually start seeing the negative outcomes that are associated with heart disease. But we got to get to the bottom of obesity and what it means and how it can be bad for you. All right. So we have a little diagram over here that's going to tell us about fat in the midsection. All right. Like a little ladybug out there. Having fat in your belly is a problem. All right. And I'll break down why. All right. So to be obese is one thing. That means on the scale you have a certain weight that compares to your height, and then they give you a number. That's BMI. But specifically, how much fat you have in your belly is really going to tell us about your health and what that means for your health down the line. Okay. And most Black women have the instinct to want to have small waistlines no matter how large the other parts of their bodies are. That to be curvy and voluptuous are absolutely okay. And that, but it is good and healthy looking to have a small waistline or a waistline that's significantly smaller than one's hips and upper body area. Okay, so when we talk about fat in the midsection, I think we're hitting on something that a lot of us want to fix. All right, but let me tell you how it affects your health. Fat around your organs is a problem. All right, specifically around the pancreas and the heart. When you have fat around your heart, it sends a signal to the heart that you are ill, that you are sick. Okay. Also, fat around the liver is a problem. All right. So you can be someone who is considered normal weight and have a lot of fat around your heart and liver and not even know it. Okay. So the idea is that because, yes, we do know these small, tiny little women out here or men who can eat anything they absolutely want to and they will not gain a pound. Okay, that speaks to their metabolism, but you have no idea what's going on in terms of the fat around their organs. Okay, and often you will see that these tiny little people who eat everything they want to they tend to have high hypertension rates. All right, so their body is taking a toll, although they don't always look like they're obese. All right, and these people can sometimes have fatty livers or lots of fat surrounding the liver and heart and pancreas. All right. And it's a problem. when the organs see fat around them, they believe that the entire body is sick and unhealthy, all right? Because fat, triglycerides, they give off these free radicals and they just say to the body that something is wrong, okay? It's not meant for you to have too much fat on your body. All right, pancreas. Why do we need our pancreas? Why is that a big deal? It's because the pancreas is involved in the process of making um, insulin or secreting insulin, okay, or letting insulin go or releasing insulin to the rest of the body whenever you have sugar in your blood, okay? So sugar in the blood is a signal to the body to release insulin. And when we release insulin, that helps to digest our food, okay? Glucose is blood sugar, all right? It's sugar that's in the blood. It's the version of blood of sugar that's available and readily visible in our blood. Not visible, but um, it's present. Okay, so the pancreas is responsible for creating insulin. All right, why is that important? Because if there's damage to the pancreas, then there's going to be damage to the way we create insulin. And if there's damage to the way we create insulin, it's going to mess up the way we typically digest our food. All right. And hey, who's paying attention to their pancreas and their liver? All right. Your body's doing a lot of this automatically and on its own, and you have no awareness of what's going on. That's why diabetes, a lot like hypertension, is considered a silent killer. Because again, these things are happening on a organ level, on um, a microscopic level in your cells, on a cellular level. You just aren't paying any focused attention on it, and they don't generally cause you pain. Now, hypertension might cause you a headache, and diabetes may cause you to feel lightheaded sometimes. But at the end of the day, people figure out ways to deal with that, and they go on with these disorders or these problems until they get bad. Okay, so the idea is we don't want this damage to our pancreas because we want to keep fat from our organs. All right, and insulin, fat around the organs also sends a signal to the pancreas and the other organs around the belly that that the body is having a hard time with food, okay? So it doesn't understand always how to fix itself. So you get situations where people have insulin, they have insulin that's not well regulated, and they end up having to take insulin to help them with digesting their food. All right, so heart. All right. So many things can affect the heart. It's the only, most of our organs are paired, but the heart is a singular organ. It stands alone and it does the majority of what we need to live. Okay. Without a heart, you cannot live. With a damaged heart, you're going to have a tough time living. You're going to have a hard time living. All right. And a lot of people don't realize that the number one killer of all human beings on this planet is heart disease. It's the number one cause of death, okay, in everybody, not just African American women, all right? But you can believe that if African American women suffer the most from heart disease, that this is definitely a problem for you to notice and stand up and pay attention to. All right, salt. Salt, we talked about salt and how it damages the lining of the vessels. All right, we also talked about how African Americans are different from other racial subgroups in that they have a certain type of um, genetic predisposition to have different linings um, of their blood vessels that don't tolerate salt as well. All right, so they are not very salt tolerant. So if black people are not very tolerant of salt, yet they have high salt diets, then they are really causing a lot of damage and putting ourselves at risk. Okay. Fats and oils, we talked about how that clogs up the arteries and how that eventually makes it difficult to pump blood to the heart. All right. Fat around the organs just flat out leads to diabetes. All right. It also signals to the body that there's some kind of immune system problem happening, and you get inflammation. What does inflammation look like? For some of us, we get GI distress or gastrointestinal problems, all right, like irritable bowel syndrome or other types of bowel syndromes that are related to inflammation, okay? Or inflammation could come in the form of allergies and allergic reactions, or food allergies, or food sensitivities, or lung sensitivities, asthma. There's a high rate of asthma in African American children. All right. Inflammation comes in many, many different forms and has many different triggers. But inflammation is another pathway where by we get to a lot of disease. All right. So fat around the organs is connected to so many bad things that it is important to remember that if you do nothing else about changing the shape of your body or your curves, or trying to keep your curves or maintain them, that you really want to focus on making sure that you're doing something to address the fat around your belly area, around your heart area, around your chest, around your liver area, and your pancreas area. All right, that generally can't be targeted. You usually have to do a total body program in order to reduce that down, and watch what you eat. All right, and we talked about hypertension. So this is all kicking off a discussion about stress, which is going to be the next part of the video. And we're going to stop here and pick up at the next part 2.